My name is Jeff Humlin. I'm a principal with Nelson Nygaard Transportation Planning. We're a national firm based in San Francisco. So this presentation is developed primarily for city planners and mayors and elected officials and so on, who are seeing that transportation is an obstacle because of the good things that they're wanting to do, and also recognizing that they don't have a lot of money to throw at their problems to make them go away. And so this is 7 easy, most of them free, all of them low cost, steps to make your city healthier, wealthier, and sexier in the future. One of the things that I like about other industries is they collect a lot of data and understand how to use mathematics appropriately, particularly the public health industry. So we really love, for example, the data that the Center for Disease Control collects in Atlanta, and they've been collecting obesity data in the United States since about 1985. And it's very interesting to sort of look at the trend. So this is 1985. The darker colors are sort of more obese places, and sort of things have changed over time. 88, 89, 90. 91, you've got to change the colors on the map, with now 15 to 19% of Mississippi and Louisiana adults being obese. 2005 changed by 2009. Most of the Mississippi Basin, more than 30% of adults are obese, and even in the West Coast, 15 to 20% of adults obese. This is a dramatic change over a short period of time, and what the data shows very clearly is the #1 cause of these patterns. Of course, it has partly to do with diet, but much more than diet, it has to do with physical activity, sedentary lifestyle. Basically, this is a map of automobile dependency. And when most of the country is built around the requirement of automobile dependency, this is an enormous problem that becomes both a social problem for having those people have connected lives. It becomes a health problem because the minute we stop walking, our bodies start dying. And it becomes an enormous financial problem for people. So of course, transportation is the root of climate change, really. So if you look at the sources of CO2 emissions in California, 40% of CO2 emissions in California come from the transportation sector, the biggest single source. And of that 40% that's the transportation sector, 70% is personal driving. What's at the root of all these problems? Well, the answer is really clear, and the answer is that we have been designing our cities in a way that walking and transit are not useful for the needs of everyday life. And of course, there's a strong relationship between the way we design our communities and the rates of obesity. If you design where walking and biking is a pleasurable part of everyday life, people will overwhelmingly choose those, not for all of their trips, but for enough of their trips that makes a difference, both in obesity, but also in the ability to be able to drive without being stuck in congestion when you need to. That when driving is a choice rather than a requirement, everyone benefits, most importantly, motorists. You get more walking and biking, you increase the safety of walking and biking. So if you're interested in safety, the old school approach for making walking and biking safer was the security fencing and regularization of everything. There were many traffic engineers who tried to decrease pedestrian crashes by decreasing the number of pedestrians. Right, because then if there are no pedestrians, you have no pedestrian crashes. Now we're a little bit more interested in crash rates, and there's no more effective tool at improving the overall safety and exposure rate of bicyclists and pedestrians than simply increasing the number of bikes and pedestrians that are out there. There's a very strong relationship between transportation and community health. Basically, if you live on a street with a very high volume of motor vehicle traffic, you are much, much less likely to know and trust your neighbors than you are on a street that has lower motor vehicle traffic and traffic volumes and lower motor vehicle traffic speed. More interesting, and a lot of this research is very new, is that there's a very powerful relationship between the amount that we walk and bike and our own mental health. And that what the research is finding is that even short periods of daily exercise, and particularly outdoors, has a strong support for improving self-esteem, mental health, community involvement, community awareness, self-confidence, ability to basically engage in all sorts of pro-social physical bodies. That, our bodies are so designed for walking, that walking makes all of our systems work well, and there's a relationship between the physical body health and mental health. There's another really interesting aspect, which is the chemical oxytocin, which is a hormone that's produced in the brain. That is, it's effectively the biological basis of trust. It supports very complex pro-social behavior around generosity and mutual reciprocity. So it's the, so walking and biking, and only outdoors for some reason, and they don't know why this is. The brain releases this chemical called oxytocin, and perhaps you have noticed this, that when you go for a walk, you can clear your head, and suddenly things seem possible and hopeful in ways that they didn't before. There is, when you get intense outdoor exercise, you get a variety of other chemicals, endorphins, dopamine, which are also quite pleasurable, but are shorter lasting, and have a crash effect, that, you get this sort of, endorphin high, but it collapses afterwards. Oxytocin does not collapse. In fact, it builds upon itself in creating broader networks of social trust. And so when the research makes it really clear to us that driving too much, driving excessively, makes us fat, it makes us sick, die early, poor because it's really expensive, dumb, in fact, that's one of the effects of the amygdala fight or flight response, angry and mistrustful, and when walking makes us fitter, and in fact, it's been diagnosed smarter, able to handle more complex reasoning and sort of think about the implications of your actions in the future and invest in the future. It makes us sexier, more loving, and more trustful. It is very strange to me why all of our transportation performance measures and our investment priorities continue to focus on this rather than that or that.